Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the next edition of Mind Your P's and Q's. It is the 1st of March, and as always, I am your host, Lucas Heckenberger, the craftiest of bastards in real life and online. And joining me today is my friend and the owner and founder of Lehigh Valley Grand Prix, Mr. Michael McCreary. Mike, thanks so much for taking some time and joining us here on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, man. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm just curious, though, how long has the Grand Prix been in business here in the Valley, and where is it exactly?
We opened in August of 07, so we're about 13 and a half years old.
Holy shit, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm a lot fatter and older, goes quick.
It's inevitable, brother. It's inevitable.
Yeah, we're located on the south side of Allentown in the original Mack Trucks Assembly Building on South 10th Street, which is right off of Martin Luther King.
Heck yeah, man. That's very, very cool. Well, Mike, you and I have known each other quite some time because I've been here back in the Valley for about a decade now. And if there's one thing that you and I do both enjoy, no matter what, it's a good cocktail. So today, what we are going to be having is we're going to be having two little variations of the Duke Silver cocktail. And one of the drinks, I want to start off with the younger of the two. So this is by Hidden Still Spirits out of Lebanon, Pennsylvania. The cool thing about this bottle particularly, I know you can't see it because of my damn ring light, but this label is from the original Old Overholt pre-prohibition down in Kentucky, who is still one of the largest producers of rye whiskey in the States. So we're going to be sampling a little bit of not quite as immature as an Old Overholt, but nonetheless, we're going to have a nice young rye whiskey for the Duke Silver, which is kind of a play on a Manhattan. But so what we've got in here, we've got the Hidden Still Rye, we've got some Averna Amaro, and then we've got a blueberry spiced maple syrup to finish it off. And the irony there is that you kind of call yourself, your house over here in the west end of Allentown, close to where I live, is the you call yourself the Blueberry House?
We do. We call it the Blueberry.
Now, did you paint that house blue when you moved in, or was it like that?
Oh, I gutted this house to the studs. We rewired, replumbed, relocated the kitchen, added bathrooms, took rooms away. And yeah, we did the whole exterior as well. Hold on, I got a barking dog here.
By all means, man. Listen, dogs are always welcome on the show. This is 100% a dog-friendly production. As you can see by my shirt, the fact that I have two in the background, and we started a couple minutes off schedule because of my dogs. And, what are we going to do, man? We love dogs. Dogs make life better, in my opinion.
Mine's giving me the stink eye. I'm not sure what her issue is, but
you're not paying enough attention to her is what it is.
Right?
She wants her dad's love. That's all it is, man. That's all these dogs want. So anyway, you have what? You have a pitty, like a blue pit bull, I think?
I do. I've got a blue pit. We rescued her from Outcast Rescue out of Catasauqua.
Shout out Outcasts. All right. I thought they just made music. Turns out they also save dogs.
Yeah, they do a phenomenal job. They actually, I was surprised actually. It was my first adopted pet of just how much they, weed through the individual going through the process, which is great. I mean, you don't want dogs going into bad homes. So
I agree. And I actually adopted my second dog over near the end of first quarantine back in May. I got him at La Mancha Rescue, which is down in Coatesville. But I'm a hound guy. I like hounds. My Black Keys t-shirt, I got this years ago when I saw the Black Keys down in Philly, and I have a red-bone coonhound who looks a lot like this. And my treeing walker coonhound, Johnny Walker, he's baby junior son of a bitch. He actually has more of the jowls and the floppiness like you can see on the shirt here. So
yeah. Nice.
Hey man, I think you got to adopt. I actually, one of the first recordings I ever did, which is on Spotify, is about adopting dogs. And I talk a lot about how the inbreeding that occurs with a lot of these pure bloodlines and championship bloodlines, you're actually just making fucking Habsburg dogs that are going to wind up to be a little messed up in the head and might not have as clear thinking as mutts, because mutts aren't inbred. It's the same thing as inbreeding, So, but on that note, here's to the Blueberry House, and here's to you, Mike.
I appreciate it. Thanks for dropping these cocktails off.
My brother, it's an absolute pleasure, man. This is what, in my opinion, this is what life needs to get back to. This is what life's all about. We're just going to have cocktails, conversations. I feel like in the past 10 or 15 years, I'd say, we're all kind of afraid to talk about deeper subjects. And because we're potentially going to offend somebody or whatever. There's just a general underlying animosity amongst people with different opinions in this country right now. And I want to go back to the days when, pre-prohibition, when the bars were the place where we share ideas. We just have a good time. Disagreements be damned. It doesn't matter. We don't have to be at each other's throats. We're all just people at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to having just productive conversations. It's it's disappointing, but I think a lot has to do with social media, to be honest with you.
100%. I mean, did you watch The Social Dilemma that came out on Netflix this past year?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of already knew everything that was going to come out in that. I mean, we use so much social media. Hold on a second. My dog is.
Yeah, you take care of that puppy. That's fine. Hang on. Let's take a pause.
Yeah, take a pause.
All right, go ahead. I can edit this out. So if you need whatever you got to do, man, go ahead. Anyway, I gotta say, all right, while I'm on here flying solo for a second, I actually really like this hidden still rye in this cocktail because it gives a lot more body up front than the mature rye that we're gonna have later does. You really get some of these different flavors from the rye. You're when you drink a traditional rye, you get smooth up front and a little bit of spice in the back, and this is just spice packed all the way through. This is a really nice in a cocktail. So shout out Hidden Still, your Old Farm Pennsylvania rye, delicious in a Duke Silver. Way to go, guys.
All right, I'm back.
Don't mind me. I'm just trying to sit over here and praise the actual cocktail and how this rye whiskey from Hidden Stills works in here. And I think it's actually really, really nice.
It's amazing. My dog, she either waits until you sit down or waits until you engage in something till she needs something.
It's the best, man. It's the best. I don't know what it is. I've gotten really lucky because I set up in my dining room here to do these podcasts, and my dogs just actually go right to sleep. And normally, like especially the one I adopted in May, I can't get him off my hip doing anything at all.
I'm sure you've probably been around more. Yeah, our
dog. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Our dog, has been impacted by COVID, which is, kind of crazy. But she never barked at the mailman, never got territorial, and now we've been around so much. Her personality's changed a little bit.
It's so much fun to watch, especially with rescues. Now, how old was she when you got her?
She was 12 weeks. So I actually went in to rescue the mom, and the mom had a litter. And having a little girl, I think Kaden was around 3 at the time. I didn't want a dog that had an aggressive past. So I thought a puppy was a good solution to that.
And my son was 5 going on 6 when we got Johnny, who is 90 pounds of muscle. And, I just kind of went for it because he's 4. He's 4 when we got him. He's a big bruiser. But I will say, spending so much time with him, being trapped inside, I've really, really noticed his personality come out. They talk about that 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months kind of a thing in terms of dogs getting comfortable in a new home when they've been rescued, especially as adults. And it really wasn't until month 6, 7, 8 that Johnny really started to show his true personality, which turns out he's an asshole like me. So it's great. It's great. That whole dogs look like their owners. Well, mine acts like me. So, but anyway, Mike, you've been in business for 13 years here in the Lehigh Valley. I don't really know of much else in terms of like the kinds of go-karts that you have are not your typical boardwalk. One might go 15 miles an hour. The other might go 7. So like, tell me about how you got to the point where you were like, I want to open up this badass Grand Prix.
Yeah, well, I was at Lehigh University at the time. We were in the guinea pig program, which is now just grown leaps and bounds, which now I believe is called the Baker Institute over there. But we were the first or second class to go through the entrepreneurship program. The go-kart track was actually my second business idea. The first was an indoor skateboard park with one of those man-made surfing waves and fitness facility, concert venue. There's some similar concepts out there, but got to the finances and realized it was way too risky. And, we kind of scrapped that and fell into this indoor go-karting thing that was starting to sweep the nation.
And like, what about your cars? Like, tell me about the cars that you have for your track.
These things are fast. They're pretty complicated machines, but they're a go-kart made in France. The manufacturer is Sodi. They're one of the largest, if not the largest in the world. They produce a really high-end product. What you see with us that's different than a lot of the family fun centers is just the speeds that we carry and the technology and the quality of the go-karts. I mean, each go-kart, gosh, they're they're around $12,000 a cart at this point. We've got over 50 of them, which are maintained by a full-time mechanic.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Um, and so, like, how are things working now? Obviously, we're well past the birthday of coronavirus. I can't keep saying happy birthday to Corona anymore because we're well past that. And I'm not one of these people that, like, the parents that are like, oh, my son's 16 months and 2 weeks old. No, I'm not going to do like, oh, happy 16 weeks. No, but, obviously shit has been weird over the last year. And how have you guys kind of been coping, working through it? And what's it looking like moving forward?
I mean, we've been very fortunate in some respects and unfortunate in others. We were down 92% in the second quarter of 2020, which is absolutely absurd. As hard as it was on the restaurants, it was equally, if not harder on us because we can't do to-go go-karts. So we literally went to zero revenue.
What do you mean you couldn't do deliveries with your go-karts?
I'll tell you what. But we're fortunate though, when we reopened our doors, the people are coming through in waves. We've had a tremendous amount of support from our regulars, as well as a ton of people just looking to get out of the house and have fun. So we had record months over the summer. I mean, July, August, September, October, were all records for us. And then we hit November and things started slowing down again with the increased numbers and a lot of the media, and all that stuff, which the virus is very real. We don't, discount that.
Of course.
But yeah,
certain facts that you also have to consider, though, like survival rate, comorbidities, and like a lot of the other health ramifications that come with it.
Yeah, and I don't judge people for their own personal decisions and what they do with it. But we've done a lot for our business to sanitize. I mean, we've got foggers we hit the go-karts with after every race. We've always sanitized the helmets, but we no longer allow customers in that room so that there's no, chance of somebody grabbing a helmet that hasn't been sanitized.
Now, did you
processes?
Did you have to invest in new equipment in order to like kind of meet state compliance regulations, or what was that like?
I would say we had to invest in more people. The processes just required more payroll essentially to make sure that everything was just completely dialed in. And, I'm not going to say that was a bad thing for our business. I mean, we learn every time we go through a crazy experience like this. We opened originally in 2007, 18 months into it, we met the recession. So, we've kind of learned how to navigate through this stuff. Never thought I'd be an expert in applying for government loans and grants and all that, but we were able to navigate through all this. We got a little lucky with the bank that we were working with. They were tremendous in the PPP process. Was able to actually help a lot of our friends go through it as well. Big companies I never thought would even have an issue. But anytime there's too much government involvement, it's a challenge. So
I agree. And I think it has its place, and it doesn't always meet the satisfactory requirements that one might expect of what a government can or should do. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just curious though, like in terms of your business, are you as seasonal as restaurants are, or is it a little bit different for you guys?
I'd say that we have two slowdown periods, but I wouldn't call us truly seasonal. Right when the weather breaks, we tend to get a little quieter. Everybody's got spring fever and they want to get outside. Don't blame them. And usually there's a transition in the fall when everybody's kind of going back to school and kind of getting reorganized after a long summer. So those would be what I call our two slowdown periods. I mean, fortunately, we've got so many bachelor and bachelorette parties in the spring, kind of, covers that up. And historically, we had a ton of corporate in September, but obviously that's not a market that's really thriving for us at the moment.
No, we got killed this year on holiday parties and stuff like that. And having that shut down for New Year's was tough. At least for the restaurant industry. Did you guys get shut down for those 3 weeks in December?
Yeah, I mean, we're like you guys. We do a ton of corporate holiday parties, just like the restaurant industry. And to be honest, that's our profit for the entire year. Leading up to that point, we do a lot of, those dollars are being used for investing in new equipment, new products, all that stuff. And then the holidays are where we kind of make our bonus money. And, obviously we didn't see any of that this year. That was tough. We were down I don't even want to say the number. It was significant. But
Yeah, man, it
tough
was
year.
rough. The amount that our styles of industry rely on those corporate events near the end of the year. That's like our Black Friday to an extent for a lot of the major retailers, kind of a thing. Now, granted, we're not doing it at a super discounted rate. We're not letting people beat the shit out of each other to get in our doors, but at the same time, things happen. We deal with it. I've dealt with my fair share of fights working in a restaurant. I don't know if have you ever had to deal with any bullshit like that at your racetrack where people get so pissed off and they start throwing helmets at each other and going all Denny Hamlin on shit?
Tell you, we're pretty fortunate. I mean, we have such a fun environment that, the majority of the time it's not a problem. I'll say the most problems we ever had was reopening after COVID in June, July, and August. It just brought out people who, mentally were in tough places. It was the first time in my life we ever thought about hiring security. Thank God we didn't have to go that route. But, things have definitely chilled out over the last few months. But, people's tensions were high due to COVID.
Oh yeah, I was I mean I would say March through June to July, I was definitely like relatively hyper aware in terms of just the amount of exposure to people. And as somebody who's used to being around 400 or 500 people on a busy Friday, Saturday night over the course of an entire service, it's been a complete change in the way that kind of see things to an extent. But come June, July, we learned a lot more. At least I did. That was through, my own personal search for information. And listening to different sources outside of just either one news organization or another news organization. It was looking at individual experts, people that have had different experiences. And I mean, my viewpoint on it has changed significantly. But I also think that the vaccine rollout has been slow but successful so far. I'm curious to see how, a third of the population that doesn't want to get it is going to respond to it, but it's crazy. And then you have the added effect, the people that got out of the house, and you got the tribe that doesn't give a fuck. And then you've got the tribe that gives, in my opinion, too many fucks. And it's just a tough situation for everybody right now.
It's hard. I mean, you've got so many relationships that have changed from this. And, I always tell everybody, it's like, I give everybody a hall pass in my life. We all feel a little bit differently about this. Nobody's, on the same exact page, it seems. And you just got to hope those relationships go back to where they were once we get through it. Right.
Yeah, I think so. What are your thoughts in terms of when we're going to be able to go back to maskless, 100% capacity? When do you think we'll be able to do that?
You know what? To be honest, I don't really think about it that much. I mean, I think about I just want to get outside. I mean, we were skiing all winter. My daughter's in the ski program at Blue. Life for us wasn't too different over the winter because we're at the mountain. And, hopefully this gets more people just looking to get outside, which it is. I mean, we're, trying to book a camping site is no easy task. Trying to buy some hiking boots, no easy task. But hopefully this is kind of awakening for Americans, especially because we are a big fat society. And
oh yeah.
And COVID exposed the fact that we are a big fat society. And if you're big, you've got a lot of risk factors that come with this disease. And we all know that. And it's good opportunity to change lifestyles up, get outside, get that fresh air, work on that immune system.
Let's do a nationwide keto diet.
Right.
And then, go ahead.
I don't know what normal is going to look like or if it's going to go back to what it was. To be honest, I don't care. I'd rather be outside anyway. So, I love eating at restaurants. That's how we know each other. I think I sat at your bar quite a few times. I'm no shy guy to have a drink. And, who knows? We just don't at this point.
Hell yeah, man. I agree with you. I'm getting married in June. And I'm really hopeful. Like, honestly, I did the numbers. It would cost me $8,000 to rapid test all 250 of my wedding guests, which is untenable, considering I'm having 250 wedding guests and everything else that comes with planning a wedding and that kind of thing. But I'm really hopeful that by June that I don't have to, I don't want to wear a mask at my wedding. I don't want anybody else to have to wear a mask at my wedding. I don't want anybody to have to wear a mask or worry at my wedding. I want to just throw a fucking banger, have a good time, and get back to some semblance of people coming together and celebrating love, celebrating each other, just celebrating the fact that we're alive, there's no discounting the people that died. There's no discounting the realities of the depression rates going up, suicide rates going up, substance abuse going up, alcohol consumption going up. There's no denying the correlation between these two and the causality of being told by the government that you need to be shut indoors and you can't go and do stuff. So, I'm trying to maintain a positive outlook in terms of how we're going to move forward and what it's going to be. And I mean, as somebody like I literally on my business card, it says professional party person. And how the fuck am I supposed to do that if I can't even throw a party?
I know it's a delicate balance and stressful, because the last thing you want is for something to go wrong from having the wedding. And that's a huge burden on shoulders. And that's where these mental strains come from. I think for me, it's like not seeing my grandparents in over a year. I was just on the phone with them. It was kind of a funny day for me. We had a record, me and my buddies, for a 400 freestyle relay that was held for 20 years until this weekend in the state of Delaware. So I'm on the phone with my grandparents, just talking to them about that. And they always love following that stuff. And, I just realized it's like, man, I haven't seen you guys in over a year. And they just got their second shot. And we're hoping that in a few weeks that they'll be able to leave the facility they're at. We just don't know. And it's tough.
I know, not seeing people all right, one of my biggest regrets of the whole thing is that I didn't have a bigger bubble when we went into our first lockdown. 16 days away. To think that it's been a year, it's fucking insane to me. It's fucking insane how quickly time has been moving throughout all this, and yet how still everything seems to be. I just wish that in hindsight, I wish I had a bigger bubble that would, like, with some of my friends and close contacts, because we were very respectful of initial guidelines at the beginning. My mother would be high risk, my mother-in-law would be high risk, and my father-in-law would be high risk. And we tried to be really cognizant of that. Had I known what I know now, I would have said, hey, let's all go up to somewhere, spend 2 or 3 weeks together, like just us. And then let's do the same thing with our friends. If we got to be locked in for a week or two, so be it. But at least we have an extended group of people that we can spend time with. So,
yeah. I mean, we've thought about even like the virtual hybrid in class, all that stuff. Part of me wishes I had the flexibility to say, all right, kids, let's go full virtual, jump in the camper trailer and peace out. Let's go see the country. You don't get opportunities like this very often, but hasn't worked out that way. But
have you ever done cross country?
Not a full cross country. We just booked Glacier National Park for 2022. You have to book it 2 years in advance. Yeah, we're gonna hit the Tetons and do the whole Montana, Wyoming shindig. Got
Big
family,
sky, baby.
Yeah, my family's in Utah. A lot of them at this point. So,
are they Mormons?
No, not Mormons.
Do you think maybe you'll convert? You think maybe you'll convert?
I don't know.
I hear the gold plates are really nice.
I'll tell you what, it's an interesting community. Boy, are they powerful. It's one of the most powerful organizations in the country.
Only in Utah, bro. Only in Utah.
Only in Utah. But that's my favorite state. I think it's just stunning there.
I love it there. One of my favorite places I've been in last few years, Boise. I was in Boise about 6 years ago now. Absolutely love Boise. It is like and I mean Salt Lake too. Don't get me wrong. Salt Lake is freaking awesome. I have family out in Nevada, on the Nevada side, down Carson City, outside of there. And we literally rode 4-wheelers up the mountain to Salt Lake. And it was radical as hell. It was so much fun. And it's just beautiful out there.
Well, you got to do the national park loop. You got to hit Zion, Bryce, Monument Valley, Moab. I mean, it's like going to another planet. I mean, it's just stunning.
I took my family up to Acadia in August of last year. We hit Cape Cod for a few days, and then we went up to Acadia for like 5 days. And this is my my third time at Acadia, but my first time since I was like a teenager. And it was marvelous. Marvelous. Yeah. I'll say we stayed at a spot in Liberty, Maine. All right. This is about an hour and 15 minutes north from Portland and about an hour southwest of Bar Harbor. And we stayed at this little tiny cabin. It was eccentric as hell engineer who you'd probably get along with since you went to Lehigh. He built a brew pub and a couple of cabins on the side, like up probably about 1,000 feet above this ravine in the mountains there along the coast. And we were there in August. And Mike, when I woke up at 5:30 in the morning. I would light up a legal cannabis cigarette when I woke up in the morning, because there was this layer of fog that was like a giant weighted blanket over the forest 1,000 feet below you, sprawling into the sunrise. And it's nothing like the big sky out west. I mean, I love just being in nature and seeing the sky out west and the mountains in the background. Like it's incredible. But I will say Liberty, Maine, the Liberty Brewing Company is like the property that we stayed at. Okay. Awesome. If you ever want to make your way up that way, highly recommend looking them up on Airbnb, because it was phenomenal.
That's awesome. I mean, if there's one thing that COVID, I hope, has taught a lot of us, is just to truly enjoy life, slow it down the best you can. I know that's something we value, and it's easy to get out of that again. I mean, we noticed immediately when things started opening up, life got crazy, and we're just trying to do our best to balance it, somewhere between the lockdown and back to chaos, because we really enjoyed that slowdown. It was a good feeling.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't know. For me, I'm such a social cat that I've missed people so much that's honestly why I started the show, because I miss getting to talk to people like this. It's I think it's so fundamental to our humanism that we get to sit down and get to know each other a little bit more and get to understand each other a little more. Cause like we were talking about before, everybody wants to be at each other's throats, and it sucks. There's no reason for it.
Try running in politics. It's even worse.
You know what? I might one day. I don't know. I want to bring a beard back I want to bring beards back. Although Ted Cruz seems to have done that, or trying to do that, despite his mullet haircut, which I think is phenomenal. Rand Paul tried that, and it was like, nah, dude, can't do it. And I haven't seen any Democrats do it. And I'm like, come on, man, we're the bearded politicians. Let's bring it back. All right. No wigs, no powdered wigs, but let's go full facial hair and get nuts with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. People need to loosen their neckties up a little bit, I think.
But you did run for office, right?
I did. I guess COVID made me that crazy. So
that's a really great way of putting it. I mean, I obviously followed along because you would have represented me in the district that I live in. We are in a very heavily Democratic district, so it was an uphill battle from the beginning, I think. And you kind of jumped in the race a little bit late, I guess, from political standpoint, from political standards. Like it seems like we're already talking about 2022 and 2024 in terms of election cycle. And we literally 2 months ago, we had people storming into the Capitol. We have had a lot of shit happen since then. Don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Shit was crazy for a little bit. And it's like, we're already talking about the next political cycle. And I hate it. I hate it.
It's terrible. I mean, the one thing I learned in that process is it truly, I think, as I said to you before, it brings out the ugly in people. And, unfortunately with social media and everything that's going on in this world, it truly makes it hard to get a quality candidate to want to run for office, because
like, who wants to do this now?
I have no idea. I mean, we announced, I guess, a month before the primary, so I'd say that's a little late in the game, but I think I got close to 700 write-in votes within a month, so that's pretty darn good. We'll take it. I think, it's the hardest part too is in this two-party system, people want, if you run as a Republican or if you run as a Democrat, they pigeonhole you and expect you to fall in line with every feeling from that party, which for me is ridiculous. Because I could care less about the parties, to be honest with you, in some respects, and I care more about candidates and real issues and getting stuff done. And how you articulate that with the super low budget in the middle of COVID, I don't know. I mean, it was tough. I thought we did a heck of a good job with the $15,000 budget. The guy who ran in the seat 4 years prior to me spent about 110. So I think we got more votes than he did. So I'd say we did okay. But the bottom line is it's just ugly. I mean, God, it's funny how issues such as term limits, where the general voting population, I think it's over 70% believe in term limits. But what politician's going to vote that in?
Very
I mean,
few, very
I mean,
few. It's going to take a monumental shift. And I mean, one of my biggest concerns is that we're shifting away from the actual substance of a candidate, and we're just looking at R&D, and that's it, you know. And I agree with you. I would like to see personally. I would like to see term limits. I would like to see limits on how much money you can spend in a campaign and how long you campaign for. I really like the Australian model of you have, you know, 12 weeks before the primary is when you can campaign and collect political contributions, put out political ads and that kind of thing. I really like that idea. That kind of drives that you have to be a substance driven candidate, you know?
it's a tough balance because, you know, when you're running politics, people very rarely ever figure out the true person running, right? I mean, gosh, you have friends for a lifetime that know you pretty darn well, but people you meet with a handshake, which you can't even do now, or in
Elbow bump.
passing, or just, you know, make judgment on you based on party. It's really tough. I
Fuck
mean,
that, brother. Give me a hug.
oh, dude, it's a crazy environment, and you know, I'm super grateful for all the people that helped me. Most of them just told me I was crazy for doing it, but
You were, but that's okay. We need crazy in this world.
yeah, we're used to shaking it up. We don't shy away very often, so.
Fucking hey, man. I know. And you think you'll ever run for political office again?
Uh, I don't know. I just it's a tough energy, and you know, and I'm a guy who likes to be around the positive vibes and good people, and not to say there aren't good people in politics, but good gosh, I mean, it is a tough pill to swallow.
I agree with you in that regard. I think there are well-meaning people in politics. I just think that there are more people than not who want to. I mean, it's the basic human condition for people who study history. People, what's the thing that people who acquire power are most afraid of? Losing it.
Yeah,
Like it's been shown over the course of human history, and even our history has been washed so that we don't get the whole picture and substance of everything that's happened over the course of time.
like
Uh,
how does a state rep get healthcare benefits for life and a pension after 10 years of work? I mean, 10 years of work is that's just mind blowing to me that we're now as taxpayers paying for this human to be subsidized for the rest of their lives. I mean, that's just, I mean, the normal population, we don't get anything close to that. Why would a politician who's supposed to be in a public servant position get that kind of benefit? I
and
have
if
no idea.
go ahead, sorry.
No, it's just we're not the ones voting on these issues.
And if we go back to like if we look at like presidents, like let's start at the top and work our way down, like we're cleaning a car or something. If we look at presidents, like why do they get a pension? If we go back to Bush one and we scroll through all of the presidents that have been there since then, they're all incredibly wealthy after leaving office. And there's no reason that they should get Secret Service protection that they don't pay for. There's no reason that they should get guaranteed health care that they don't pay for. You know, they're making millions of dollars on speaking engagements, book deals, you name it. And everyone's gotten it. You know, I could point to Obama. I could point, I don't know if Trump will get it. We'll see. You know, that's a whole nother shitstorm and fucked up situation. I prefer not to really focus too much on Trump's presidency and what's going to happen because I'd rather look forward and move ahead and try and build some kind of a community where we can all just kind of talk to each other about this shit instead of just want to fight each other about it. But if we look at all these presidents that have pensions, that have guaranteed Secret Service, that have all of this, they've all gotten richer and richer and richer.
It's crazy.
Like, what the fuck are we doing subsidizing salaries for them?
It's absolutely nuts. I mean, it's just wild. I mean, we literally had zero candidates who I'd be excited about running for president in the last election. My grandfather would probably kill me for saying that, but
I don't know, man. I got excited for Andrew Yang. I thought that guy was great. His catch line of the person who's best to go against Donald Trump is an Asian who likes math. Like, fucking dude was hilarious. And getting rid of the penny, I'm wholeheartedly for that. I think it's ridiculous. It costs like 8 cents to make a penny. What are we doing?
I don't even know why we have change.
I don't either. If you want to keep any change, keep a quarter because I like playing quarters every once in a while. And there's a game called bottle hockey that I used to play in college. You ever hear of this one?
No.
You would have an empty liter bottle in front of you. All right. And somebody would flick the quarter and they would spin it. All right. And you would call somebody's name that's standing at the table. You were allowed to defend your bottle like this. You could use your fingers. You had to be up against the bottle and you had to defend your bottle. If they flicked the quarter into your bottle, you had to chug your beer for as long as that person could keep a quarter spinning. And if you stopped the quarter on its edge, that person had to chug their beer. It was a great game. I mean, granted, I played hockey my whole life. I played hockey through college. This was one of the games that we played. And it was fantastic, in my opinion. I want to keep quarters to shoot quarters and to play bottle hockey. That's it.
Well, I hope you were using Natty Light and not Natty Ice.
Nah, man, I was a son of a bitch. I used to drink National Bohemian out of Baltimore when I was in college. No, that shit had Diamond Jim Jackson, who was a professional Bassmaster fisherman, on their box, and it had what looked like Mr. Pringle as their mascot, and it was $9 a 24 pack, and we're like, Natty Bo kind of night.
That's hilarious. Anything Baltimore though, we fully support. We're huge Ravens fans.
Well, you're not from the Lehigh Valley originally, correct?
No, we my earlier years we grew up in Baltimore, and then my parents are from Delaware. That's where they met. That's where they grew up, and we moved back there for my later years through high school.
So why'd you stay in the Lehigh Valley when you graduated from Lehigh?
I actually like the area. I mean, the Lehigh Valley demographic.
Actually, you just pissed a lot of people off. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So I actually like the Lehigh Valley. I saw what was going on. Freshman year at Lehigh, the university was very against going down to 3rd Street, South Side. There's a lot of problems. My junior year, we're all at McCreary's. So, you just saw the transformation happening in Bethlehem, and you knew it was coming through the whole valley. I mean, this area is just a great spot. Wilmington, Delaware suburbs, very similar, but the growth there isn't like what we have here.
I agree wholeheartedly. My father grew up here. He grew up at 4th and Shoe, down in the heart of Allentown, when there literally used to be ghettos in Allentown that were classified by the ethnic background of the people that lived in certain neighborhoods. And he was part of the Dutchy neighborhood. There was the Syrian neighborhood. There was a Greek neighborhood. There was the Puerto Rican neighborhood. Like the actual term ghetto, where it is a group of ethnic people from one area that live in the same place, kind of a thing. But my mother's from Alabama, and my grandfather is, ironically, he was one of the founders of FedEx Ground way back in the day. And he used to work for Air Products. But what happened is he said, I see an opportunity here. And he said that the Lehigh Valley is the great connector to any road that will take you to anywhere in this great nation. And realistically, if we go an hour outside of the Lehigh Valley, we can be on 81 going down the southern corridor along the East Coast. You can be 83 cutting out west to the Midwestern states. You've got 76 and 476 cutting across all of everything that takes you out again to more of the northern part of the Midwest. And like we've got 81 and 95 corridor that'll take you up to the Northeast, where Massachusetts, et cetera, and all that stuff is. So
you're 1 day drive from a third of the U.S. population and half the Canadian.
And it's amazing. Yeah, no, I agree. So I grew up in the Lehigh Valley, and I did my first stint of undergrad at Temple and fell in love with Philadelphia and dropped out of school because I'm a degenerate in some respects. And when I moved back here, I didn't want to move back here at a certain point in my younger life when I was 22 and an idiot. And now at 34 as an idiot, I realized that this is actually a really nice place to raise a family. It's got a lot of opportunity. We're close to a lot of different things. There's a lot of history here that like I technically live on Lenape land from the Native American standpoint, if I'm not mistaken. Like if we go back to pre-America, this is Lenape land as far as I know. And Algonquin land is not far, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's really interesting the amount of history that is here. So I agree with you. And I appreciate that as a Valley native. People wanting to stay. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, I guess I am a native. We've been here 13 years in business, and I was here, I think I was on a 6.5 year undergrad degree program. So
I know that. I know that undergrad degree track. Now, I don't know about you, Mike, but I moved on to my second one. And this,
I'll pull that one out.
hey, whatever you got to do, man. You don't have to drink on my schedule. But this is with Rittenhouse Rye, which is made in Baltimore. Now, this is the highest governmental standard of rye whiskey. This is a 10-year aged, 100 proof, bottled in bond rye whiskey, which is, again, now whiskey is the national liquor of America, and we have had strict regulations in place since I think the early mid 1800s on how we produce this. Like, there are strict standards on how we produce whiskey. Whiskey with an E. Whiskey without an E and just a Y typically comes from Ireland and Scotland. So
interesting.
But this is like, do you notice the flavor difference in this one compared to the first one?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this one is smoother. The blueberry is more muted, it's just like a little bit, but like with the hidden still, like, you got more flavor up front, you got more blueberry in the back, and I actually think I prefer the hidden still at this point.
Yeah, the first one was a bigger taste in your mouth for sure. This one's a little smoother.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's crazy how much a couple of years will do for fucking distilled alcohol.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we first opened the bar at the go-kart track, our liquor rep, phenomenal guy, George, he brought in this girl who was the representative for Jameson from Ireland. So she came through and we sampled all the whiskeys and, all the different ways of drinking them. And it was unbelievable, just the difference with a little ice, what it would do to it. Just a touch of this, touch of that. It was a completely different liquor with every manipulation of it. So, it's interesting. Booze is an interesting thing.
So one thing I like to do when I actually do like private events, when that kicks back up, I like to do a whiskey wheel. It's where I'll bring in, like, Woodford has a wonderful line. They have their straight bourbon. They have a double oak, which is aged in two different kinds of, or not two different kinds of oak barrels, but it's just a different age statement than their traditional. They've got a rye and they've got a wheated whiskey. And you bring in this wheel with all different kinds of flavors, going everything from cacao nib to milk chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate, to different kinds of nuts, different kind of like dehydrated citrus peels, different spices like a coriander, a cardamom, that kind of thing, and even going all the way up to something like cinnamon bark, walnut bark, this, that, and the other. And it's like licking the bark, tasting the whiskey, identifying those flavors, eating a walnut, drinking the whiskey, identifying those flavors. And it's almost like priming the pump, which I don't think anybody has ever made up that term before. I just made it up, prime the pump. I don't know if you remember when Trump said that. I just had to fucking throw that in there because I think it's hilarious. But no, it's like priming the pump. And when you give your palate an idea of what it should be expecting from something, you can identify those things easier. And it's one of my favorite things to do, because people are like, I never would have thought about, this, that, or the other being as a part of whiskey. I just get burn, or I just get this, or I just get that. And I think it's really fun to explore those different options. And as distilling and breweries and vineyards boom in Pennsylvania, it's cool to see how different spirits react to something that is a little more streamlined and mass produced. So,
yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's always enjoyable to listen to somebody who just truly loves what they do, and you do booze, and it comes out when you talk. I mean, that's what makes the world wonderful, is all these people who just love what they do and they put their heart and soul into it.
And now, granted, my liver might hate me for it, or actually my liver probably loves it. My liver's in great shape because I keep it so damn active. But, it's just like being a chef to an extent. All right. Obviously, I didn't go to bartending school. I think bartending school is a fucking ripoff. But at the same time, like, it's just understanding those flavor profiles and being able to identify different things. And then if you know X, Y, and Z about ABC, you can put these things together and create a beautiful cocktail.
Yeah.
So,
some pretty wonderful cocktails. So I appreciate these.
Hey, it's absolutely my pleasure, Mike. When did you guys start doing food and stuff like that, though, at the Grand Prix?
2012. So we've been doing it for some time now. We're really excited about our new axe throwing edition, because that's it really is phenomenal to have a full liquor license with food and beverage right at your disposal while people get to chuck axes at a board. So it really adds the experience for both services.
Do you guys have like the instructors there for the axe throwing?
Yeah, we call it like the axe arena. Essentially, we've got 6 boards, or what you call 3 lanes. And it's actually quite nice during COVID because you can rent the whole place out, for just your group. And we always have an attendant back there monitoring safety and also doing a quick instructional for everybody that's going through the experience.
Now, I've only done Skeggies over there in Easton when they first opened up, but I gotta say, man, it was a wonderful experience. The only thing is they don't serve food, they don't serve booze, so I can only imagine how much more fun it is over at your place. Is it open now, or is it in the works?
It's open, and actually, one of our most popular packages we do a go and throw. So you get 2 go-kart races and then an hour of axe throwing afterwards, and it kind of gives you the full experience of the facility, which is nice. But what's cool too is the way it's built out is you actually have the go-kart track going right around you. So while you're throwing axes, you can actually see the carts whizzing by, which is, just adds the excitement of the space.
I'd say so. That sounds fucking awesome, man. Honestly, my next family night outing, it's going to be at your place, and I'm really excited to do that. I was going to wear a referee jersey for this, and I was going to take a Sharpie and draw lines across it so I look like a finish line. Because I wanted to do something to promote your business, but you're doing obviously you do a fucking wonderful job as it is. You've been going strong for 13 years. You survived the Great Recession and you've survived the coronavirus. So like, I gotta tip my drink to you, my friend.
I appreciate it. It doesn't go without a lot of work and having a lot of good people around you. So
I have no doubt. Now, how long have how many people do you employ?
We employ roughly 20 people. Ryan, as you know, he's been with me for over 13 years.
Shout out Ryan Suhan, Allentown Central Catholic High School, class of 05.
Ryan is, I couldn't do it without him. He's just a tremendous guy, and he's really the beating heart of the place. I mean, he keeps it going and manages a lot of aspects of the business. And, we're in the process now of trying to open another facility in New Jersey, and couldn't be doing any of this without all Ryan's efforts.
Well, good gracious. Let's get that man a cocktail next time. All right. All you got to do is let me know and I'll bring an extra one. All right. That's all you got to tell me.
He definitely deserves them.
What's that?
He deserves them.
Yeah. He's a dirty martini guy though, if I remember correctly. Ryan Suhan loves his dirty Tito's martinis, if I am not mistaken. Cause I take pride in the fact that I have worked in a lot of the, more cocktail driven establishments in the Lehigh Valley, which I think there are a few of, not too many. I think there should be more. I wish there were more. I wish we had like 2 to 3 good cocktail bars on every Main Street, Hamilton Boulevard, Circle in Easton. I wish that all of these little microcosms of cities within the greater Lehigh Valley area had great cocktail bars on every corner, because I think it would just be a boom for the palate in the Valley. I still do believe that we are way behind the times. And this is where I have to bring up so I have a beef on this show, Mike, and it's with Stouffer's. Stouffer's packaged and preserved foods are my fucking nemesis. I think that they have ruined diets in America by starting the packaging and canning and sodium driven frozen meals and all this shit since the 30s and 40s. And like, I hate Stouffer's. I think they've ruined a lot of America in terms of our palates. And I want to see a return to fresh, vibrant, like just more seasonal things. And for example, I was at work a little while back and I had a drink ticket come in, and I work at Notch Modern Kitchen and Bar. Shout out Notch. Love you. Been there for, God, it'll be 2 years in August. I had an order come through. It was for a coconut peach pineapple drink in the middle of fucking January on a Saturday night. And like, listen, realistically, we can get anything anytime we want. That's the way that supply chain works in America in terms of our food. We waste a shit ton of food because of it. And I went up to the woman and I politely said, I'm sorry, but I don't have the majority of these ingredients. I have pineapple juice because I have pineapple juice on hand at all time. We use fresh pineapples in a lot of our cooking. It is, Asian infusion. And she got mad at me because I didn't have coconut or mango or peach. And I said, Miss, like, I know that I can get this tomorrow if I wanted to, but we're seasonal. Like we stick to that. We try to be true to that. And I think it's important for us to understand these things and do a better job of staying true to what is actually seasonal.
Well, I guess I know what I'm ordering tomorrow at Notch.
I won't be there, but you should go and support that restaurant because it is a small family-owned business, much like yours, my friend.
Very wonderful owners. Very wonderful owners at Notch.
I actually haven't seen you at Notch.
You know what? I haven't been out a whole bunch. I mean, just financially through all this, we've just kind of tightened up, and unfortunately, that's part of the game. And plus, I'm kind of a dive bar guy. I mean, you're going to find me a lot at the little hole in the walls in the West End, which I truly, absolutely love.
Are you on Honest Trav still?
I don't know. I haven't followed that in forever. It's just not for me.
It's not for me either.
But that's okay. If it's for a lot of people that need to get out and have somebody to show their drinks off to or whatever they're doing, that's great.
I don't know what they're doing anymore. I heard at one point they hit 100,000 members and then they got shut down.
Wow. That's impressive. I don't know if it's encouraging the right activities right now when we're dealing with a lot of substance abuse issues. But, I think, I get why they exist too. So I think people needed an outlet through all this, and they need to socialize as much as possible.
It's an escape, and I got to give credit to that man, Travis Lindemoyer. I guess I'll give you a shout out on this program. Like, you actually you made a brand all online that's based around a bar without a bar. Like, I got to give credit where credit's due. That's pretty impressive.
It's impressive. I think I actually saw a beer at Liberty Street Tavern that was named Honest Trav Bar Beer.
They have a pale ale and an IPA is coming out, and that is done through Saucony Creek Brewing out in Kutztown. And the man lives in Lehigh. So I don't know how the fuck that they got together. It's probably through the dive bar, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I love to see people doing well and succeeding. And like I said, hopefully that was a great outlet for people, because God knows we all need an outlet right now.
100% agree with that. Yeah, that's why I made this show, because I needed an outlet. Like, and I appreciate the fact that we get to actually like talk like normal human beings. I'll say this, Mike, I want to bring you back on the show at some point in the future, and I want to do it while people are throwing axes around me and go-karts are driving around me and we're sitting in the middle of your goddamn racetrack. That's what I want to do. And we can actually eat your food and drink. And like, I can't wait for this to be a kind of thing. Like, that's where I see this kind of thing going, is that we're going to go to locations and we're going to get to sit down and drink and talk and have a good time. People are going to tune in. They're going to love it.
Well, I'll tell you what, the one true benefit for us with COVID was that it really got us to focus in on the business and to make things better and to add products and, do everything we can to make our establishment the best place to go for entertainment. There's very few times in your life where life kind of goes on pause, and we were paused there for a minute, and it was refreshing for a couple of weeks, and then it got more stressful week to week. But to be able to take that time and to better yourself and to better your business, I mean, what else can you ask for? I mean, we kind of took that as an opportunity.
And, honestly, I think that speaks to a lot of character and perseverance. And I think it's so important for people to hear about this kind of stuff, because I know a lot of us were scared. I know a lot of us were worried about, like, I was worried about a lot of people dying. I was really worried that, like, if my mom somehow got it, she would die. And she's got one grandkid that's 6 years old. And I don't want that to be, the legacy. Like, all of my grandparents are gone and I miss them so terribly. Again, like I said, my grandparents on my mom's side grew up in Alabama. Well, my grandmother's from Sebastopol, California, which is why I have family out on the West Coast. And my grandfather's from a little town called Wedowee, Alabama. And we still have a landline down there hooked up to an answering machine that has my grandmother's voice. Wow. As the response on the answering machine. And I call that shit once a month. just to hear my grandma's voice because I miss her so much. She was my favorite. But like now, you know, I was scared. And now I'm not as scared. And luckily, my mom is vaccinated. She just got her second shot the other day. She feels good. She didn't have any side effects. Father-in-law and all this shit. Like it's great. But like, you know, it's definitely been an awakening in terms of what we value, how we approach things. And I agree with you that I hope that this is an awakening for us to come to our senses, get a little bit healthier, start taking our vitamins, get outside, move around. Let's communicate more effectively. Like we have a big opportunity in front of us instead of just being crushed by adversity.
You're dead on. I mean, we've got our management team reading leadership books and really fine tuning everything we do and trying to grow as people. Life moves so quickly that you sometimes forget to grow. And that just doesn't mean from a business standpoint, but that means a personal standpoint. I mean, running for office for state rep, I mean, that was a personal growth thing. And every few years I do something to shake it up, whether it's running for LOS Man of the Year. I was president of the Allentown Chamber. I've done a bunch of things where I've just kind of thrown myself out there. And if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you don't grow. And you learn from every experience. You meet wonderful people along those paths. And, it's a great way to just, continue to make yourself a better person.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike McCreary, thank you so much for your time, my friend. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
Pleasure. All right, guys, make sure you tune in, like, share, follow, subscribe, everything. Go to Lehigh Valley Grand Prix. Book your reservation for what was it again, Mike? A throw in.
The go and
throw. Fucking get a go and throw. I'm gonna get a.
Got to race first because we don't want you drinking on the track.
Wait, so is there like a limit where you'll be like, no, Lucas, you're not allowed to go on the track and drive anymore because you had too many fucking whiskeys?
Nah, we don't mix it. That's why we do the throwing after the go-karting, just to keep it clean. We want people to have experience.
So if we showed up beforehand and had a beer and then wanted to go on the track, you'd be like, I can't do that.
Well, likelihood is I wouldn't know you had the beer, but we try to monitor that and police it, just to keep people safe. I mean, we're all about having a safe, fun experience.
Absolutely. And that's what we're all about. We're about bringing people together safely, happily, healthily, fun. Mike McCreary, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Guys, like I said, go to LehighValleyGrandPrix.com and book your go and throw now. Later, everybody. We'll see you next time.